Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
Hi guys, welcome to a very special episode of Conversations in Quarantine. We've got someone very interesting with us today. He is actually starting a project to make something really interesting in India, which is making a very unique kind of a business school. We are going to be talking to Pratham Mittal. Hi Pratham, welcome to Conversations in Quarantine. Really excited to have you here. Pratham, you've done your education abroad. You came back to India, did a very interesting startup before you got into Masters Union. What got you to come back to India? What kind of education you had abroad? Can you take us through your journey up till now?
So I grew up in Jalandhar, which is actually a very small town in Punjab. And, I went for my high school to another small city in Dehradun. So I went to the Doon school there. And thereafter, I was lucky enough to get an opportunity to study at one of the top universities in the US, the University of Pennsylvania, for my undergrad. And there I'd met a friend of mine who, and together we started a company called Outgrow, which is essentially a content management system that publishers use. So when you go onto a New York Times or Wall Street Journal or a Guardian magazine, their website, the backend is actually powered by us. And when I moved back, I wanted to sort of leverage all that I'd learned in the US to do something interesting in India. So I started a company called the Neta App, which I'm sure you would have heard of. People in the audience also would have heard of. It's a political ratings platform. We have around 28 million users right now. I was in touch with a lot of my professors from college. And two of them specifically, one who were Indian, who were teaching in the US, they were missing India quite a bit. And I think they wanted to really create a new model of education in India, right? And because I was in touch with them, I had TA'd for them, when I was in college. So they reached out to me. They said, hey, listen, we want to do something in India where we want to create a new kind of a business school. Right. And we have all these, former students of ours. We have all these CEOs and CXOs who have, who we have been consulting for the longest time. All these people want to come together to really create a new business school. And they asked me if I would be interested in actually helping them run it, set it up and then run it. So they said, why don't you build a team? To me, that was really exciting because of their vision.
So, Pratham, as you know, we are in the middle of a very uncertain period right now. What is going to be an MBA like in a post-COVID world? What are going to be its new features to make it more relevant and more useful for the kind of students who emerge from it and go into their careers?
Two or three things here, I think, where the MBA needs to change or evolve itself. The first is that it has to focus on technology, right? I mean, I don't think there is any two ways about it anymore. So what we need to do is make sure that our MBA graduates have a good appreciation for technology. Maybe they are not coders. It's great if they are coders, by the way. But even if they are not coders, they at least should have this appreciation of how to use tools in a way that can help their business, right? There are certain skills that are expected from an MBA, right? And I'll mention two very obvious and simple ones, right? Which essentially is common sense, but it's still missing in the Indian ecosystem. One is Excel, right? Microsoft Excel, spreadsheet, right? I mean, it is such a simple thing, which most of our MBA graduates, including those from IIM, do not know much about. And that happens not through Excel classes, that happens through real projects that you work on that use Excel, right? And the second is writing skills, right? All MBA graduates have to have really good writing skills, right? In fact, when I was at Wharton, we used to have a writing class every semester, almost every semester. But we were actually trained in how to write. You're telling people who have done their undergrads in Harvard in English literature how to write for the business world. To answer your second part of your question, which is the COVID scenario, after COVID, I think we have to get comfortable with working from home or working remotely. We're contemplating that we should, in fact, introduce a course which is about how to do remote work effectively.
Pratham, you mentioned that your professors back at Wharton were working with a lot of CEOs who wanted to come and teach, and that is why Masters Union was conceptualized. My question is that, can CEOs really teach?
So let me draw your attention to a simple example. Which discipline do you think gives students the best ROI in terms of career? The best ROI of any program is actually medicine. And the reason for that is that the professors who teach in medical colleges are not professors. They are actual doctors. They are practitioners. They are people who are operating in the morning and teaching in the evening. So students get this hands-on learning from day one from people who do hands-on practice every day. Right? In IIMs or even in top business schools, most professors have never stepped inside a boardroom. Right? They've never worked for a company. Right? So how do you expect them to teach you business? Right? And so I think not only is it very much possible, I think it's very important for practitioners to be teaching rather than professors only to be teaching. There are certain courses that, of course, only professors can teach.
Interesting, Pratham. You mentioned that. I actually want to know, what kind of talent does today's industry 4.0 really want from these schools? Like, what is it that what you mentioned Excel and writing and a couple of those things, but what are the kind of talent that is the requirement of industry 4.0 today?
First is humility, right? People need to be able to listen to each other, right? A big problem in Indian ecosystem, especially in the education system, is that people feel that they already know everything. Why do they need to listen to anybody? Right? And this is a problem, right from the top to the bottom, right? So I think, we need to be able to listen to other people and appreciate and, look at life from their viewpoint. So that's number one. What that leads into is good teamwork, right? Only if you are humble can you work in a team. If you are arrogant, you cannot work in a team. Third, as I mentioned, which is an appreciation for technology, right? So people don't need marketing executives anymore. They need digital marketing executives. We don't need finance graduates. We need fintech graduates, right? People who understand how to leverage finance from a technology standpoint, right? Most of the broking doesn't happen on the phone anymore. It happens online programmatically on Zerodha, right? Or on Sharekhan or one of these platforms. So students need to know that and not the old school stuff. So I think this is the way the industry's expectations have changed. We are running a business school, right? And when we are looking to hire people, as counselors, as professors, as marketing executives, even then we are looking for people who can appreciate technology.
Pratham, you yourself come from a family of 3 generations of business people, entrepreneurs, and like across industries. You've been in hospitality, automobile, education. I think you're getting into e-commerce also now. How do you think an MBA can help students become great business professionals today?
MBA is a very holistic program, right? And especially the way we have structured the MBA at Masters Union is extremely wide, right? So there are 4 majors or 4 concentrations, as we call them, that everybody has to do, right? So one is management and strategy. You have to study that, right? So you have to be able to know what are the principles of management. In our program, we have Manoj Kohli, who is SoftBank's current India head, and he led Airtel for 14 years as CEO. He's teaching how he led Airtel's management team from 20 lakh customers to 20 crore customers. Second thing that people have to study is digital marketing and branding. That's taught by people, top of the field. So in fact, just before this call, we had a webinar session with Malvika Haran, who used to head Saatchi & Saatchi in India, the biggest marketing agency in India. She was the CEO of that. And so she's going to be leading the marketing classes and branding classes and talking about how she helped Coke build the brand that Coke built in India, right? From, I think, 85% market share in beverages.
Right.
The third concentration that everybody has to study is fintech and finance. And I just spoke, a lot about it. And again, we have people top of the field, former MDs of Morgan Stanley, of Goldman. They're all teaching these programs in finance and fintech. And the last concentration that everybody has to do is computing and business analytics, right? So everyone has to study basic business analytics, right? And again, we have people from Viacom, chief digital officers, chief data officers teaching these courses. That really prepares you to be able to start and lead your own business, especially family businesses. And all these 4 courses are geared in a way that you're able to run them for the next 100 years, not for the previous 50 years.
No, so that's something interesting, Pratham, because I want to ask you, you've studied abroad and you've seen India's education system as well. what are some of the things that both the education systems can learn from each other?
First of all, let me put it this way, that I don't think the US is where India should be. I think the US, if let's say the best possible program is 100, US is probably at a 70, even the top business schools, right? I'm talking about Wharton here, right? It's at 70. And India's IIM, let's say, are at 30 or 40, right? So we should not aim for 70, we should be aiming for 100. So here I'll talk about, I think, two things. The first is that our program has to be immersed in the industry, right? So the way our programs function right now is they're very far away from the industry, right? Our top business schools are located not in the business districts, but far away from that, right? So the first thing is that they have to be immersed in the industry. I'll give you a few examples. So what we're doing at Masters Union is that each student is actually paired up with 2 industry mentors. These are CEOs, former MDs, presidents, the senior vice presidents, chairmen. In fact, one of our mentors is a former chairman of Boston Consulting Group. So, every student will be partnered up with one of these practitioners. You don't have a mentor and a professor, you have a mentor and a real person, probably whose company you want an internship at, right? So you're not even working with your boss, you're working with the boss's boss, right? So that's number one. Number two, just an example of industry immersion is that in Masters Union, we actually have a real fund. It's a 5 crore fund that the Masters have created, which the students will then manage, right? So you're managing a fund even before you graduate. And that makes it really easy for you to get a job in the future, right? I'll give you another example. We have certain classes that are actually not held in our campus, but at a company's site. So for example, a course in supply chain doesn't actually happen in our Gurgaon campus. It actually happens in Kandla port, in Gujarat, at the site where Adani's entire port is, right? And so you actually see how the ship is coming, how the containers are being moved, and how that entire supply chain works. So that's how the students are actually learning in the industry, not just over a summer internship, but throughout the 16-month program, right? And in fact, our campus is located in a building, and that building we share with BCG, with Bank of America, with Nielson, with companies like these, right? So a lot of the times the practitioners from those companies will be coming downstairs to teach, and our students will be going upstairs for their training.
Pratham, last question, and this is again related to the COVID context currently. A lot of students are stuck at home right now, unsure about their future, what they're going to do post-COVID. What is the message that you would want to give out to them?
See, I think first of all, we have seen certain examples of such epidemics in the past as well, with SARS and Ebola, etc. Right? So I think after one business cycle, which is usually 9 to 10 months, we see the economy coming back up, right? So for example, in Masters Union, the students will be graduating next year in December, right? So when I think by that time, the economy would actually be on the upswing, not on the downswing, as it is today, right? So people who are starting their MBA today, I think have nothing to be worried about. If the students prepare themselves well for technology, for appreciation of product and statistics and things like that, I don't think they'll have any problems in finding good jobs. There is still a big gap in the market where companies want to hire, even today. So if the students are able to build that skill set within themselves, I don't think job would ever be a problem, right? No matter how bad the economy is, because that's just the demand in the market.
Thanks a lot, Pratham, for taking out time and doing this interview with us. I'm sure students will find a lot of valuable insights there. Thank you so much for your time. Cheers.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you so much. Anytime.